Welcome back in to Cavaliers Live, presented by Wayside Furniture. The Cavaliers find themselves back in the win column here at Rocket Arena as they take down the Spurs tonight, 130-117. Let's hear more now from the winning head coach, Kenny Atkinson. His press conference is presented by Wayside.
What's the team in the third quarter?
Listen, I think starting Dean Wade in the second half helped us. We put him on Fox. Everybody's going to say, well, Vassell was getting off, but it was really De'Aaron was in our paint, and we had to make that move. We had to put Dean on him just to slow it down, change our coverages up a little, and then we rebounded, right? 13 offensive rebounds in the first half. I mean, that was abysmal rebounding, and then we turned out. I think they had 2 offensive rebounds in the second half. So those are kind of the keys. And then offensively, we've been kind of begging our guys to get to the paint more. I know they didn't have Cornette tonight, but we were downhill. Evan was getting to the rim, and it's kind of the story of the game.
I know you're not expecting Jaylon to necessarily have the scoring outputs that he's had Monday and tonight, but when he can show that he can score the basketball like this, how does this open up other things for you guys?
It was interesting, and tonight just wasn't on catch and shoot. We had that second unit, and that was like Cal Berkeley, Jaylon Tyson, like handling, making plays, hitting, playmaking Jaylon, which he has, which we don't use very much. But listen, these are things, who knows, in your toolbox. They start putting the weaker defenders on him. They're denying Don. He can make a play. So that bodes well for the future.
Kenny, what have you made of Jaylon Tyson's maturation over his second season, but also the development that we've seen from him this year?
Yeah. I'm going to give credit 2 places. I think number one, it's his insane work ethic. Like he's one of those guys. He's in that rare, whatever that bucket is. He's in it. So that's number one. And then I would say our veteran leadership, Don and DG and Dre, they're always talking to him. Sometimes I work too much, but they're literally coaching him constantly in the huddles, in practice, in the film sessions, and they do it the right way, right? Really positive coaching. Those are the 2 big reasons he's kind of exploded here.
Frank Porter Jr. was a plus 20 on the floor tonight. He was guarding De'Aaron Fox. He was switching on to Devin Vassell. There were so many different aspects of what he was doing tonight that you got to see what you talk about with the work ethic and stuff from him as well.
Yeah.
What are you seeing that is allowing him to get more minutes in tonight's game?
Ethan, I think what you said, his ability to switch, right? Because he's that fire plug guy, right? Like you can't just bully him downhill. He's not the tallest guy, but he's got girth. And then he got us going. I think he got the first steal. Like he came in and he messed up one play, and I yelled at him for that. And then so he said we got to pick it up, and he got a steal. And then I think after that it got him going. That's kind of how he has to play. That's his role on this team. And then he helped us rebounding too in the second half. He's got that elite quick jumper, quick to the ball when the ball's up in the air.
Nate, when you're talking about being able to learn a lot about your younger guys, like what are some of the things you would look for to identify whether any of it could translate to playoffs?
Yeah, we're talking about that today. Actually, what the Naquans and the CPs and the Jaylon. I think what we've tried to do is really mold them with that idea in mind. Like you're going to do the things you're doing in the playoffs, not like regular season role player. These are the things we need you to do. If you're a rotation player in the playoffs, and like Naquan, cutting is a big, he's got to be able to cut. He's got to be a great cutter, and cutting matters in the playoffs. especially when they're loaded up on your guys and they start blitzing you and you start throwing into that half roll. So, offensive rebounding too with him. And Jaylon and CP kind of that same role. Now, where Jaylon surprises is with the 3-point shooting. I wasn't expecting that, so he's kind of got both going on. He could even move up a couple notches, kind of what Danny was saying. Man, is this a guy that could do even more? But those two guys, I was thinking of Niquan and CP. They have real specific roles right now. JT too, but his role seems to be expanding a little bit.
Space.
Kind of all encompassing of the guys that we've already talked about. But you had Donovan and Evan in with CP, Dean, and I think it was Jaylon. So of those five, and I think that was the lineup that really got you back in it in the third, just what is the synergy between that? It feels like there's some balance maybe between the vets and the young guys together.
Yeah. Was Naquan wasn't in that? No. And really, I experiment a lot with lineups and probably should have started Dean, or quite honestly. That might have been why we didn't get off to a good start. So that was on me. And Dean, those guys have played together, a lot. They have a synergy and a chemistry. Sometimes you throw a new player, or a young player into that can even one guy can get him off kilter a little bit. So, that group had real good synergy tonight. Even CP, they know what he does. They're real comfortable with they know where he's going to be on the court. So that helps.
You were really complimentary of Lonzo before the season started. I know you had a tough game last one, but tonight looked like he was just himself playing defense. And
I'm so glad you brought that up, and I should have, because I thought his defense was phenomenal, and then his rebounding, and then made a couple of those Lonzo type passes. His you guys are talking about before the game, just his joy was seen to be back. He seemed like that's the Lonzo spirit wise and joy wise that we need. So it was good to see him get that mojo back.
Chris, Rachel, and his scoop.
Hey, Kenny, you mentioned going with Dean to start the second half. Your numbers with Dean in the starting lineup over the last couple of years have been really, really good, and you've mentioned that too. But when you've had absences, you haven't gone with him in the starting lineup.
Yeah.
Why is that?
We don't want to run his minutes up really high. I'm not saying he's on a restriction, but there are some parameters there. I'll just say that. So that factors in. He played the most games. I think it was his most games he's played last year, participated in. So the key, our number one key for him last year was keep him available. And we want to continue that, because in the past, he'd always come. So I'm always cognizant of his minutes. And when he starts, it makes it hard to keep those minutes reasonable.
For you, have you found yourself yelling more at the guys this year than in the past?
Yeah, I had one little mini explosion tonight, But listen, this is part of the frustration sometimes. And, like I said, when things aren't rolling, sometimes I feel like what blew me up tonight was the rebounding. Like I was just like, that's the one where it's like, that's kind of like the, not acceptable line. And I think you gotta let the guys know. But definitely, last year was a picnic, right? Like we didn't have many moments like that. So, it's good they're starting to see the real me,
Last two, Rachel and then Scoop.
Kenny, you talked
Rachel.
about spirit. Right?
Yeah.
And you addressed the last game that was at home, that they came into the locker room and that their spirit wasn't there. Their heads were hanging, shoulders sagging. Going into the locker room during halftime today and losing at that point, you were not in the lead. How was their spirit today in the locker room during halftime, and did you have to address
Great question. Yeah, even though we were down and things weren't going great, the spirit, it was a lot better, for some reason. And it wasn't anything I said. But I walked in and I think Donovan was, saying some positive things because we have the film going on during when I walk in. So they're watching clips and stuff. But, tonight it was not that the spirit was still there. Our camaraderie was there. I could feel it. Last game I didn't. So hopefully that was an outlier. Hopefully that was a one-off. Even during the bench in the first half when they were, when they're making their runs, I thought we kept our positive, kind of positive way. And a lot of times we feed off Don, right? He's kind of our, who we follow. And he, most of the time he's got a positive, spirit about him.
All right, Scoop, finish it up for us.
Scoop.
Hey, so quick turnaround tomorrow. Play against the Golden State Warriors, a team you know well.
Yeah.
This isn't your first time playing against them, but two-part question. Do you find yourself looking forward to that game? And do guys in your locker room ever ask you about those experiences in 22 on that bench with the Warriors?
Yeah, I'll answer the second part. I talk about those because there's so many great. I learned so many great lessons. From Steve, obviously, but also from Draymond and Steph. I'll relate stories of stuff we went through in Golden State. I'll reference players. I reference Steph a fair amount, right? His work ethic and Draymond and his leadership and defensive, communication. I'll say that to Evan. And I think they obviously our players respect that program a lot. And I, of course, do. So, not shy about that. And yes, I look forward. Because those are my, I got a lot of friends over there. So just from a relationship standpoint, I love seeing them. Steve is a great mentor of mine. So that's great. And yeah, it's more special. It's special when you play those, play a team like that who I had such great experiences with. I always love seeing those guys.
We got more coming up here on Cavaliers Live. Thomas Bryant finished with 8 points off the bench tonight. We're going to be joined by Thomas Bryant when we return.